Welcome to Hull and Estates and Succession Planning, a series of podcasts hosted by Hull and Suzana Popovic-Montag. The podcast you are listening to will provide information and insights into estate planning in Canada. From the offices of Hull in Toronto, here are Ian and Suzana.
Hi, and welcome to Hull and Estates and Succession Planning.
Hi there, Ian. How are you today?
I'm terrific, Suzanne. I got a little bit of a cold, but that's winter in Canada.
That's for sure.
We are apologizing at the outset because we haven't been able to podcast. We've had some technical difficulties, and we're anxiously hoping this one works. So this is the beauty of podcasting. To start off today, we've got a new setup here. We wanted to try sitting down, not just because I've got a cold and I have no energy, just because I wanted to have a different look. And so what we're trying to cover today is really, well, let's start with, first of all, when we can, we like to put forward our books that we've been reading and enjoying. And we may have more to say about this book, but this is one that we just finished up. It's called Smart Thinking, and we'll put it on our webpage and our favorite books list on the webpage. It's by Art Markman, and it's an interesting book. It talks about problem solving and innovative ways to getting things done. We are in the business of that, and as we all are, really, in day-to-day lives. So, fascinating book, and it was an interesting read. We'll spend some more time talking about it in some future podcasts, but we always like to talk about them fresh off the press.
And especially when there's such commonsensical ideas that someone has been able to capture, put in writing, and just sort of refresh things that we would have otherwise known. But it's good to see it once more as a reminder of the fact that, you know, this is what we do on a daily basis, and here's a better way to possibly do it more regularly.
And the author, he's got a PhD, and he had some very interesting approaches to a bunch of the data behind better thinking and managing your thinking patterns and your problem-solving patterns. And one of the interesting tidbits that I liked was the concept that the human brain is actually trained to remember what it thinks is going to be an important memory, a useful memory. We don't remember things that our brain thinks is not going to be useful. And so it makes sense. If you think about it when you're a kid, you can think about lots of memories you might have as a child, but they're limited. Mm-hmm. And what our body does and our brain does in that sense is that it remembers what it may need to pull from later.
Very interesting.
And it also talks about, in terms of habits, they talk about developing smart habits. And one of the smart habits it talks about is that we don't want to continue to put extra strain on our memory and our cognitive testing of our situations. And the example is always have at your desk where the pen is always going to be. And always have where mundane matters you're dealing with, have them so that you're not straining your memory to find out where they are. It's an automatic. The pens are on my left-hand side in my little pen holder. Illustrations of where you do not want to overly tax your cognition and your memory, so that you've got more available for what are requiring pulling out of for more daunting tasks.
Well, we've always said we are creatures of habit, and I guess that just underscores how important it is to have things become rote to us, so that we have the opportunity to do so much more with our other time.
Well, that's right, and it really is a fascinating look at the way the human mind works and the way that we can help develop our skills to problem solve. So, highly recommend it, and as I say, we have some more to talk about it maybe in a future podcast. We also want to talk a little bit about what we're doing in our practice, and we've been since January 1. We, the Third Alternative by Stephen Covey, which we've mentioned in a previous podcast, but both of us had read over the Christmas holidays and have adapted some of what he's doing in our practice. Mm-hmm. And I think it's got a lot of, well, it's really helped us, but it's got a lot of traction, not just with the professional practice, but even in a family environment. A lot of the tools that he teaches you in that book. So let's spend a few minutes on talking about what we call our synergy environment, or our synergy rooms.
And what what we've done is we've actually taken the partners in our firm and split them up into two groups, two different rooms, and set them up in there as their office spaces. And we've also set, kitty corner from the partners, two other office environments or two other desks where we have associates and our students, our articling students, come in on a rotational basis to work in that room that day. And the whole idea being to be able to draw from the synergized environment, the collegiality, the collaborative kind of discussions that we have on a one-on-one basis, now within a group of 4, possibly more, each day.
And Stephen Covey, in his book, the first 2 chapters are fascinating. It's a fascinating read, and he uses a tremendous amount of data to support the basic principle that 1 + 1 does not equal 2. And 1 + 1 throughout history has sometimes, if you put 2 people together or a group of people together, has produced infinity, and has produced 10 times what might have been a solution that you would have only created on your own. And so we've used that, and we see that obviously we've talked a lot about in the past about how we can use family meetings, and the family meeting environment also allows for what is essentially organized synergy. And we've really helped ourselves in developing that through our practices. But the synergy approach, and in large part coming out of the Stephen Covey approach, and he's a New York Times bestseller on a bunch of levels. He's written 3 books that I've involved with and read. But where he's coming from really makes a lot of sense. And also, what I think is a good takeaway from an estates practice is that it reminds us that it is a transparent, synergenic environment that almost always produces better results, whereas a will quietly done in a lawyer's office and tucked away in a safety deposit box still makes no sense to me in terms of solving your complex, or not, relatively complex, estate planning needs.
And we're very lucky that the environment is so conducive to that, and that our office, the people who comprise our office are very much these kinds of individuals for whom it works. And it's also really kind of neat to see and watch it in the media now. We certainly know that we're sort of pioneers from the legal perspective, but that this is something that a lot of other firms have moved towards. And it's kind of neat to be on the cutting edge of that from our perspective as well.
Well, it does. And this sort of open concept office environment has been certainly around in any of the creative environments, any of the creative businesses, and certainly design work and advertising work. And it's sort of interesting to me anyway that the legal profession, or any profession, tends to be very cylinder based and tends to be in a situation where they want to shut their door and work on their own. And from my perspective anyway, it's not producing 1 + 1 is producing 2 in that scenario, and we like to bring our multiples up both for ourselves and for our clients. So thank you very much, Suzana, and we're hoping that the technology has moved beyond the glitch and on to the next, and we're looking forward to our next podcast.
Likewise, thank you very much.
You have been listening to Hull on Estate and Succession Planning by Ian Hull and Suzana Popovic-Montag. The podcast that you have been listening to has been provided as an information service. It is a summary of current issues in estates and estate planning. It is not legal advice, and you're reminded to always speak with a legal professional regarding your specific circumstance. To listen to other Hull and Hull podcasts or leave any questions or comments, please visit our website at hullestatemediation.com.